I'm Becky Bullard, and I'm the founder of Democrasexy, making democracy sexy so more people do it. The rest of the country thinks of Texas as a climate villain because of our fossil fuel past, but the people of Texas have the opportunity to make Texas into a climate hero.
It's Monday, November 11th, 2024, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier. This Veterans Day, all of us at Progress Texas salute and thank the men and women who make up our armed forces and all who have served our country with bravery and honor, especially those here in the Lone Star State. I've spent a lot of time lately thinking about the members of my family who have served. I'm so very proud of each and every one of them, and I am also keenly aware of the possibility that a lot of what they fought for is close to being lost. All the more reason to keep on fighting. As expected, on Friday, Texas Democratic Party Chair Gilberto Hinojosa resigned, ending a run dating back over a decade to 2012. Jasper Shearer at the Texas Tribune reports on a statement in which Hinojosa said, quote, "In the days and weeks to come, it is imperative that our Democratic leaders across the country reevaluate what is best for our party and embrace the next generation of leaders," unquote. Early names to possibly replace Hinojosa include Vice Chair Shea Wyrick Cathy, a longtime veteran of Dallas government and current senior advisor to Dallas County Judge Clay Jenkins, and former statewide and congressional candidate Kim Olson, who was Hinojosa's top challenger for the job in 2022. Again, no shade on anybody intended here, but swapping out a couple of jobs and moving along business as usual is a losing prospect for the Texas Democratic Party. A wholesale, highly strategic, self-reflective, and innovative overhaul is crucial right now for a party that is flirting with potential irrelevance in Texas politics. With Inauguration Day still weeks away, one can't blame progressive Texans for feeling as though they're living not only through a nightmare, but one that will potentially be followed by an even harsher reality. Daniel Perot at KVUE-TV in Austin recalls Donald Trump's repeated, sustained campaign trail vow to launch the biggest deportation operation in American history as a first order of business next year. Texas conservative elements are 100% on board with this, but already trying to smooth the rough edges. Joshua Trevino, for example, the chief transformation officer at the right-wing Texas Public Policy Foundation, tells KVUE that a federally backed operation aimed at the sudden seizure and forced relocation of millions of people in Texas, many of whom have lived and worked here for years, many of whom have children who are U.S. citizens and have assimilated into our society and economy as friends and respected, valued colleagues, is, quote, a large one, but also a necessary one. And given its necessity, it's not one that we should shy away from, unquote, while also having the gall to express confidence in the Trump regime that they'll execute this operation, quote, rationally, effectively, and also humanely, unquote, setting brand new standards for self-delusion if he's actually serious. 5 million immigrants live in Texas, which accounts for roughly 11% of immigrants across the country, 1.6 million of them undocumented here in the Lone Star State. How many Latino Texans who are actually citizens will be mistakenly ripped away from their lives and families in this rational, effective, and humane operation? We are about to find out. Most demographic groups nationwide saw swings to the right in the election. Adrian Ashford at the Dallas Morning News zeroes in on how recent events in the Middle East have affected voting patterns amongst both the Jewish community and the Muslim community in North Texas. He finds that both, in light of the conflict over Israel and Gaza, gravitated away from the Democrats, with Jewish voters swinging to the right and Muslim voters abandoning the Dems over disagreements with the Biden administration's handling of the conflict. Barry Abels, executive director of the Jewish Federation of Fort Worth and Tarrant County, says he sees the trend in his community predating the October 7th attack and that the full political implications of all of this remain unclear, while Yasir Qadi, dean of the Islamic Seminary of America in Richardson, says third-party voting became a widespread form of protest among Texas Muslims this election, saying, quote, "I have publicly stated that any candidate that endorses genocide cannot be supported by us. The Democrats lost because they supported the genocide in Gaza," unquote. Texas transplant and one-time illegal immigrant Elon Musk has established himself as perhaps our nation's most unflinching and blatant political oligarch, and will certainly continue his leading role in the douchification of Texas. Latest from Musk on the cesspool of a platform I will always call Twitter. Ariana Bayo at The Independent writes on Musk's promotion of a theory made popular on 4chan over the last few years that a so-called free-thinking republic can only exist under the decision-making of high-status males, and that women and low-T men aren't invited. Musk reposted this bullshit just yesterday as a, quote, interesting observation. At this point, Twitter is quite literally the playground of our nation's most powerful right-wing douche nozzle. Now's the time to look for alternatives, which won't be easy, but we're working on it. Musk, like Donald Trump, is following Ken Paxton's lead on the legal front as well. Anthony Ha at TechCrunch says the Twitter terms of service to take effect this Friday dictate that all lawsuits against the platform will be heard in the U.S. District Court in the Northern District of Texas, rather than the Western District that includes the platform's new operational home in Bastrop. For the same reasons Paxton likes to play up there, the Northern District has become a popular destination for conservative activists seeking to challenge Democratic policies, with 10 of its 11 active judges being Republican appointees. The next Texas legislative session begins in just over 2 months on Tuesday, January 14th, and we're getting a clearer picture of what Republicans have in mind in 2025. James Barragan at the Texas Tribune says Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick has declared private school vouchers as his top legislative priority. Shocker, we know. Patrick is already putting pressure on the Texas House, saying, quote, since 2015, the Senate has passed school choice 5 times. It died in a Republican-controlled House each time. That is unacceptable and inexcusable, unquote. We see it as one of the more impressive feats of the ever-dwindling Democratic resistance in the House, which is also now impaired by a new crew of pro-voucher Republican members handpicked for this specific issue by Governor Abbott. Meanwhile, today, the Texas Senate Higher Education Subcommittee is set to meet for its 3rd interim hearing in which more of Dan Patrick's priorities, those targeting higher education in Texas, are expected to be aired. Specifically, Patrick wants to undermine the role of faculty senates on our state college campuses. They've been a pesky obstacle for the overrunning of diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. Patrick also wants to keep weeding out anything remotely resembling DEI, including efforts to strengthen Texas's workforce through training and certification programs. We do have a fun one as we wind down here. Progress Texas's Humans Against Ted Cruz campaign enjoyed the company of Willie Nelson in a recent New Yorker interview with the redheaded stranger on his new cannabis cookbook, during which Willie's wife Annie D'Angelo was sporting a human shirt while telling writer Adam Isco that marijuana has been a lifesaver for Willie and his family as an alternative to alcohol. Sweet read in the show notes, and those stylish Humans Against Ted Cruz t-shirts are still available right now on our web store at progresstexas.org. The Trump win has a great many Texans worried about the future, wondering what action they can take personally, and in many cases in communities feeling quite isolated and alone as a progressive. If that's you, know that you are not alone, and we can prove it. Please consider supporting Progress Texas by attending one of our holiday parties for this year, one in Austin on December 3rd and one in Dallas on December 16th. These are both fundraising events for the fight beyond this election and into the next Texas legislative session. We need your help more than ever to continue our important work, and you need quality time with folks who feel like you do. No better opportunity than our holiday parties. Individual tickets are only $50, and they're on sale now. See the link in the show notes. Thanks to the Honorable Joaquin Castro and our friend John Mazzaro for their holiday party contributions. We look forward to seeing both of y'all. The hard reality is our funding here at Progress Texas is rarely robust enough for us to plan much more than a quarter or two ahead, while the long game of our opponents is funded by oil billionaires and religious right-wing activist groups. At present, we do not have sufficient funding for the crucial upcoming legislative session. Our listeners form a key component of our funding here at Progress Texas, so if you're a regular and you're liking what we do, we could use your support as a monthly contributor. No amount is too small. ProgressTexas.org/donate to help us. Thanks to Shannon Walton, Roxanne Boyd, and Betty Ferguson, all of whom have joined the team lately. We appreciate all of y'all very much. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Monday, November 11, 2024. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Progress Texas is a nonprofit rapid response media organization promoting progressive messages and actions. While campaigns come and go, we're the permanent home for progressive media and action in the Lone Star State. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks especially once again to our veterans. Have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow morning.